Bingo Blitz rules.
If your bingo has ads in it,
That's not a bingo.
if it doesn't have the coolest tournaments, mini games, and the most breathtaking design,
Nope, not a bingo.
if your bingo moment makes you feel so excited that you just want to burst in joy and scream out loud, bingo! Sorry, so you're playing...
Bingo Blitz? Now that's a bingo. Go for a world of excitement with Bingo Blitz, the #1 free bingo game. Download Bingo Blitz and play for free.
Now that's a bingo.
This episode is brought to you by Skinny Pop Popcorn. Perfectly popped, endlessly delicious. Oh, so light and crunchy. Skinny Pop Original Popcorn is the snack you've been searching for. Made with just 3 simple ingredients: popcorn kernels, sunflower oil, and salt. Snacking never felt or tasted so good. Perfectly popped, endlessly delicious. Give yourself permission to snack and pick up Skinny Pop Original Popcorn today.
Let's hang out.
Let's hang out.
And let's talk about what lessons about.
Let's hang out.
And let's listen to two lesbians shout.
Let's hang out.
Let's hang out.
Welcome back to Let's Hang Out. I'm Ellie Brigida.
And I'm Lee Holmes Foster, and here's what's happening this week.
This week in the Lesdom.
This Week in the Lesdom is a place where we can touch base each episode about things going on with the podcast or otherwise.
We wanted to start out with just an announcement. So in September, we held a campaign for our Patreon where an extra bonus was that you would get entered into a drawing to be on the podcast. We did actually pick a winner for that and got in touch with them. And unfortunately, they opted to back out because they are not out in real life. They didn't feel comfortable coming on the podcast. So we just wanted to take a moment, to explain why we're a little delayed in announcing the winner of that. We are drawing another name, so we will have that out soon. We will be announcing who that's going to be. But we also just wanted to put that out because I think it's really important to us, and it's a good reminder of why this podcast is important to people who either don't have community. We hear from a lot of listeners that this is who they hang out with, and we love that. And also that, for people who are maybe not able to be publicly out in real life, that this is something that's really important for them. So we just wanted to put that out there, say how much that means to us to hear about things like that, even when it's sad, because we would have loved, the opportunity to have you on, and we're really sorry that you had to back out about that. So just to announce that, we'll be following up with more information about who is going to come on for a Q&A this season.
And we just released last week one of our Renegade covers videos that I'm really excited about. It's a cover of Girls Like You by Maroon 5. And I did it with my friend Amelia Turek. She wrote an incredible original rap instead of the Cardi B one, which is amazing and super gay. And we also had a bunch of our podcast guests featured, including the 2 women who you will be hearing from in this episode.
Yes.
Super cool. I think even to go along with what Lee was saying earlier, we also are using this video to start our season 2 campaign to raise money for the Trevor Project. You can donate at bit.ly/LezTrevor. I think it is so important for us to remember that we still have a lot of work to do. And that means supporting organizations that are supporting LGBTQ youth who can't come out or have come out and have been disowned by their family, because that is a serious reality for a lot of LGBTQ people in this country. It is really important for us to keep that perspective. So if you can, we would really appreciate it if you would donate to our campaign for the Trevor Project at bit.ly/LezTrevor.
And especially in, I think, the current reality of our country and our political climate and stuff, I think it's really good to find ways that you can sort of give back and support causes that are important to you. This is one that's really important to us. And so we are super grateful for anyone else who can help us raise funds for that. It's a great organization. On a lighter note, some other stuff that we realized we hadn't touched on yet. It didn't necessarily happen exactly this week, but we still wanted to talk about it. I know some of you have already seen. If you haven't yet, there was a little situation that occurred on The Bachelor Vietnam.
Oh my gosh, it was amazing. I've been waiting for this to happen on The Bachelor for since The Bachelor came out.
So there is a clip, I think you can find it with the subtitles pretty easily at this point, but essentially during the rose ceremony, one of the girls who had received a rose, right? I feel like I'm gonna say
received
this
a
wrong.
rose and gave the rose back because she was in love with another girl there.
In love with another girl on the show. That is just that's the movie I want, right?
Yes.
Like, fuck The Bachelor. That's what I want to watch.
Yes.
I want to watch the love story meet cute of two women on a dating show to date someone else, date this dude who fall in love with each other. That's
amazing.
what I want.
I mean, it also makes me really, really want a lesbian bachelorette. But I also, I really think the
one
lesbian
that's
bachelorette
not-
would be such a shit show.
Well, okay, can we say, we want a queer bachelorette show that is not a shot at love with Tila Tequila, because everything, the second season and the Icky Twins season, it was just all kind of felt trashy. I don't know, maybe that was...
a classier Tila Tequila.
It was
I know a lot of people love Tila Tequila, so, don't want to hate. But
no, I don't think it's about Tila Tequila in general. It was just how they ran the show.
It wasn't like The Bachelor, yes.
No, it wasn't at all.
It's more like Rock of Love.
Yeah, it was just it was not good. So we want a classy lesbian or bi or whatever, just some queer bachelor show. That'd be cool too. So there you go. We're putting that out there in the universe, and we'll see what happens. Something else that we wanted to talk about, some of you might have seen, there is a movie out of Kenya this year called Rafiki. That is a lesbian love story, and it just recently was actually, they lifted the ban in Kenya. So it is now eligible for the Oscars and things like that. I do not have details yet on when or where you can watch it, but as soon as those come out, we'll try to post them on our social medias. I'm really excited to check it out when it's available.
Yeah.
Supposed to be amazing, and we're really excited that it's actually able to be shown in the country that it's taking place in. That's a really big deal. So that's coming. We're looking forward to seeing more of that.
And with that, back to you, Ellie and Lee. Thanks, Ellie and Lee, and welcome to our 14th installment of Shoulda Been Gay.
Oh, it was fun, it was great, but it should have been a little more gay.
In this Shoulda Been Gay, we're going to take the good.
We're going to take the bad.
We're going to take them both, and there we'll have
the facts of life. And we are joined by some special guests to help us go through all of it. Tracy Levesque and Mika Epstein from LezWatchTV.
Thank you so much for coming. We are so happy to have you here.
Hey, thank you for having us.
We're happy to be here too.
So LezWatchTV, it is an online database of queer, female, transgender, non-binary, all sorts of, all of the letters of our little community, right? Mm-hmm. TV characters and their shows, the actors that are playing them. Tell us a little bit about how that started, how you guys made LezWatchTV happen.
Well, it really started because Mika and I were both computer geeks, and we met each other in the WordPress community. And Mika, do you want to say what WordPress is?
Sure.
For the youngins.
WordPress is a content management system, which is a fancy way of saying it's the software that makes your websites look really awesome. And it's used by about 30% of the internet right now, which is at once terrifying and awesome when you realize you're writing code that gets used by that many people. And Tracy and I both work in WordPress community. I work for a web host. She has her own web development company. And we were both at WordCamp San Francisco, which at the time was the biggest WordCamp that you could have in the United States. And
let me tell this part of the story.
Oh, yes,
I went there by
this
myself.
Part of the story.
It was a big deal for me to get accepted to speak at WordCamp San Francisco. It was the biggest conference I was going to speak at. And I go to the speaker dinner, and I didn't know anyone. And then I looked around. I'm like, oh, there's another lesbian. I'll go talk to her.
I had no gaydar, so I had no idea.
I love how many friendships start that way.
Honestly, that's me and Lee as well. Different conference, but same thought. That's a lesbian.
Was it the
talk to her.
acapella conference, right? Acapella conference?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
It's the foundation of so many amazing friendships.
Right. So Mika and I wound up becoming friends at that conference, and then because Mika travels around to all different conferences, and I do too, we would meet up occasionally in this city, that city, and we were chatting online, and we both came to realize that we have an encyclopedic knowledge of shows with queer female characters on it.
Amazing.
Yeah, and then we were chatting one day online, and it was the day after it was revealed that Shay, the lesbian on Chicago Fire, had died in the season 2 finale fire. And I was so mad. I was so angry. I was like, Mika, we need a database. We need something to tell us, like, what shows have dead characters in it? Is it worth watching? And then literally the next day we went into action, started building the site.
We had talked about it a little bit before over the summer because we'd been at another WordCamp together and talking about how we have this knowledge, we should do something. But it wasn't until Shay died that we really had this fire that we should actually do something.
Pun intended, pun not intended.
Pun not intended,
pun
but we'll go with it. And I think I bought the domain like the day we were talking because I work for a web house, so you get domains on the cheap there. I'm like,
nice.
I'm going to buy this one. And I'm like, oh, it's a pun. LezWatchTV. Ha ha ha. And from that, it's been 4 years now, which is
amazing.
Wild.
And it is a ridiculously extensive catalog.
Yeah.
If you haven't checked it out, you should go check it out.
It's amazing.
3,026 characters, 997 shows, and that has all been put in by hand by Mika and I.
I'm going to get it to 1,000 shows this weekend after this. That's my goal, is to get to 1,000 shows.
But it's such a great resource, I think, for queer viewers because it's like, okay, I'm watching this show and I like even like Rizzoli and Isles or something, like you're like, it's so queer baity and you're like, I love it, but like I want to support shows that are actually giving positive representation. How do I find those shows?
Right.
And you have this extensive
that's the whole
database.
thing.
Yeah.
It's like the show, our website started as a reaction to Barrier Queers, right? But it continues now because we want to highlight the positive. We want to highlight the shows that are doing well. We want people to be able to go to our site, find characters that they relate to, that look like them or, have the same orientation, gender or sexual orientation as them, and see shows where they don't die.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yes. Don't we all want that?
Yes.
That's the dream.
Amazing.
Living the dream. But unfortunately, that's not what we're going to be doing today.
Talking about the complete opposite.
Talking about the opposite of that today, we are talking about shows that weren't gay, but that
should have been gay.
So obviously should have been.
Now, before we get into that, I just have one thing to say. I am an avid listener of the Savage Lovecast. I religiously listen to that show every week, and to my surprise, there you two were as guests on the Savage Lovecast, and I just have to say, props to the advice you gave.
Oh,
I thought it was spot on, because a lot of people come on as guests, and I'm like, oh, I don't know. You can tell they're not advice columnists or, in the advice business, but I love the advice that you two gave.
Well, now I'm going to have to go listen to that.
Yeah, we had so much fun recording that with Dan Savage. It was great.
Yeah, it was crazy.
And it's like it feels like a huge responsibility to be like, let me tell you what you should do.
Yeah.
It's a little heady.
It is a huge responsibility because I love him and I love the show, but he's a gay dude and he does his best. But so now here you are, the lesbians, going to give advice on one show. That's a lot of responsibility on your shoulders.
Yeah, it was awesome. We're thinking we should expand into having like some sort of dating advice show, but it's too much.
Right. Just spread yourselves more thin,
Yeah, right?
Oh
Let's just keep pushing.
We have so much stuff going on in season 2 right now anyways, but you never know. It's there in the back of our minds that like if we start getting a lot more questions, like because we do get emails from people sometimes where they're like, oh my God, like I started listening to you while I was coming out and all this stuff. And we haven't really gotten like the, like Dear Abby style questions yet. But like if we start getting those, you never know. So not that that's a push for people to pull them or to start sending them in, but
Should we dive in?
Let's dive into
Facts
Peak
of Life?
Skill.
All right,
Okay.
So we're going to turn this over to Tracy and Mika to read the IMDb synopsis and then their own LezWatchTV synopsis. Here you guys go.
yes.
All right, Tracy, hit it up.
The Facts of Life is a group of girls attending a boarding school who tackle issues throughout teenage life and later adulthood. Now, here's some little stats since they're from LezWatchTV. There were 9 seasons, 203 episodes. It started in 1979 and ended in 1988. And one thing about the show is the first season had a huge cast, including Molly Ringwald.
Yeah, I saw that in my research, which I thought was crazy.
And
she was a baby.
Yes, she was.
A tiny little bit. And she did make a couple appearances, like here and there, in other seasons. But after that first season, they pared down the whole cast to like 4 main girls and then Mrs. Garrett. And so season 2 through 9 is those folks.
And it was originally a spinoff of Different Strokes. So Gary Coleman shows up in a couple episodes too, just for fun.
I do just want to say, I was alive while the last season aired.
Ow.
I graduated high school the last season aired, so there we go.
Just for context here, in terms of, because Ellie, you weren't alive for any of it.
No, definitely not.
So we love this because it's a super throwback from, what we usually cover as the Should Have Been Gays. I think a lot of the stuff we've been doing is much more recent. This was so much fun to like go back, and it's like a whole different vibe to do a Should Have Been Gay on like an early 80s sitcom.
Yeah, but the thing is that it's almost gayer than like half the stuff we've covered.
Right?
It really
It's
is.
so gay.
It really is.
It's so gay.
It's shockingly
Oh my God.
gay.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, like, if I was going to write my own synopsis based on the very mediocre research that I did leading up to this episode, my synopsis of the show, and of course I'm a little biased because my research tended to lean heavily towards the what parts of it should have been gay. Here's my synopsis for Facts of Life. A group of girls attending a boarding school is completely oblivious to the giant, enormous lesbian living in their midst. I mean, is that accurate?
Yes.
That's
absolutely.
pretty accurate.
Yeah, so the whole...
that just sounds like she's like a horror film. Like
The giant lesbian living in their midst.
So
Only
let's
The
they knew.
lesbian is calling from inside the house.
Let's go to season 2, episode 1. So that's when they reconfigured the whole show, right? Season 2, episode 1 is when Jo pulls up on her motorcycle, head to toe in denim. She has a electrical tape holster on her belt. She walks in, she still has her helmet on, and they think that she's the delivery guy. They think she's a guy, and then till you take off the helmet.
And there's the ponytail
we've all
reveal.
been there. We've all been mistaken for a dude before it happened.
No, absolutely. But it's the setup for that first episode is such a perfect setup for a queer story. But it's not.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I have to cut in really quickly just to say, because everyone's listening and they can't see it, but I'm pretty sure this entire episode is going to be the 3 of us talking and Ellie just like peeing herself laughing.
Like crying.
Ellie's like dying to the point that like she can't even talk.
I just don't want to interrupt anyone, but I just think it's so funny. Like I was putting together like our own outline because like just so many of the things about Jo, it's just like, is this a joke?
Yeah.
No, that's television in 1979, 1982. That chunk of change.
The 80s is playing a joke on modern day lesbians with the character of Jo. Yeah, it is.
If she's not wearing flannel, she's got baseball shirts and jeans on. It's one of the 3.
Denim. Did she wear anything but that denim jacket? Like, I'm pretty sure the entire, like, U.S. stock of denim in the early 80s went to the Facts of Life costume department.
Well, either she has multiple denim jackets or she keeps stealing Blair's, because a couple of them are pretty fashionable.
Okay, so now we have to talk about Blair, right?
Yes,
Ooh,
Blair
yes.
Warner.
Stealing Blair's clothes. I like that. We're going to get to the ships later, but I like that already. So, okay, let's talk Blair.
Blair Warner is the rich, snobby, like looks down on everybody, but is forced to roommate with Jo. And
I read that fanfic.
One,
I mean, come on.
that ship is set up. The things they say to each other are so subtext queer. It's like hits you in the face.
I went to boarding school, okay, and I had, 3 different roommates over the course of the 3 years I was there, and some of us were queer. Most of us were queer. We never flirted like that.
Yeah. Well, okay, so Tracy, you're saying, some of the things that they say to each other. What's a good example?
Oh, that one scene where they're figuring out if they should room together or not.
Oh, yeah.
And then I guess, it comes decided that, yes, they're going to room together. And Mrs. Garrett comes in and says, oh, so you decided that you're going to room together after all. And Tootie's like, they're going to do more than that.
Oh, my God.
I'm like, what's happening?
Stop it, Tootie. You're saying what we're all feeling.
What is it even supposed to mean?
Yeah, and then Blair wears Joe's jacket at one point. Wait, describe that episode, Mika.
Okay, so Joe, of course, has a boyfriend, but she gets invited by a boy Blair likes to go to Cotillion. And if you don't know what Cotillion is, it's basically a bunch of really rich white people going to a country club and dancing to terrible music. My dad did Cotillion. We tease him mercilessly because of this.
Where is the show set? Where is this supposed
It's
to be
set
happening?
in upstate New York, so we're talking about Poughkeepsie.
Do they do Cotillion?
They do Cotillion up there. I have a lot of
really?
friends from up there. They still do it.
Peekskill, New York.
It's Peekskill, New York, but it's meant to be Poughkeepsie, New York. They just rebranded it so that you didn't get sued.
Yeah.
It's really obvious if you listen to like the names and you've ever been up there. So Joe gets invited to go to Cotillion at the country club, and she's never been. She's got this girl fantasy of, I'm going to go, and everyone's going to go, oh, who's that girl? So she's excited, and she goes, but as it turns out, the boy just wants to take her to behind the 9th hole, and you know what.
Ooh.
So
scandalous.
She socks him, gives him a black eye, loses a shoe, and hightails it back to school.
That's not gay.
No, not gay at all.
Give it a black eye to the dude trying to hit that. Pretty gay.
And while she's gone, Blair is complaining the whole time. What does he see in Joe and not me? So she puts on Joe's jean jacket and leather bike riding gloves and a leather hat with silver studs. I'm not making this up.
Oh my gosh.
And she's got it at a jaunty little angle.
The quintessential gay outfit.
Yeah. Quintessentially gay outfit. And then she puts it as a jaunty angle because she's got the feathered Farrah hair, of course. And she says, don't I look, oh my gosh, even I make this look good. And she's just preening in front of the mirror. And during all this, Joe returns and they run into Joe downstairs because the boy has shown up with the shoe Joe lost. Blair's thinking, Cinderella moment. But then she sees his black eye, because of course it's TV, it develops in 2 seconds. And she said, what happened? And he basically tells her in very clear terms that there are 2 types of girls, the kind of girl you marry and the kind of girl you don't. And he thought that Joe was the sort of girl you don't marry. And
because she's a lesbian.
Well, yeah. But Blair doesn't even hesitate. She jumps to Joe's defense. And this is like the 3rd or 4th episode together, and they're not really friends yet. They hate each other.
No, it's a perfect, like, Sarah Lance and Ava,
oh, seriously.
It's a contentious relationship at first, which would be perfect. It's like a package handed to you for the reboot of how it should go.
Glinda and Elphaba. There's a lot of those hate to love. Yeah.
I mean, and there's hate to love because you get those shows where you're like, oh, they hate each other. Well, maybe they'll fall in love. And then there are some that you're like, no, they're really in love with each other. And there's a different vibe to people that hate each other but become friends and hate each other but become a little bit more than friends. And Blair just leaping to Joe's defense and looking like she's going to haul off and punch this guy and blacken his other eye. And you're like, wait a second, what did I just watch?
This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. And as we head into Thanksgiving time, I want to start by thanking my wife, Kelsey, who has not only listened to just about every episode of this podcast for 8 seasons now, but who also is the only reason I'm able to make time to record it every week. She takes the kids, gets them dinner, and gets them ready for bed just so that Ellie and I can come on and yell about gay things into each other's faces for an hour. So here's a reminder to send some thanks to the people you're grateful for in your life, including yourself. I've been in therapy for a long time now, and one thing that's so important about therapy is how it teaches you to be more intentional. And being intentional about gratitude and how to show that to the people you appreciate is just one of the many benefits that I've gotten from therapy over the years. If you've been thinking of starting therapy, consider giving BetterHelp a try. I know how hard it can be to find time for regular therapy, and BetterHelp is designed to be flexible and convenient for your schedule. You can fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. If you want to start being more intentional about gratitude in your life, visit betterhelp.com/LezHangout today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LezHangout.
Let's hang out.
For many businesses, the holiday season can be both an exciting and stressful time. With so many balls in the air, one thing you definitely want to know you can rely on is how you're selling your products. And with Shopify, you can rest easy knowing it's the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. Nobody does selling better than Shopify, and when it comes to successful brands like Aloe, Allbirds, or Skims, an often overlooked secret is all the things that go on behind the scenes that make selling, and for shoppers, buying, simple. For millions of businesses, if you take a peek behind that curtain, you'll see that Shopify is what makes it all possible. Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%, so that's more happy customers and way more sales going. It's true all the time, but especially this time of year, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling, on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout we use for Realm merch with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/realm, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/realm to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/realm.
What's up, guys? It's the champ, Sean O'Malley, here to talk to you about Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best place to win real money while watching football. Run your game on Prize Picks.
Prize Picks will give you $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Just download the Prize Picks app and use code SPOTIFY. That's code SPOTIFY on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play a $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
Hey, do you like true crime? Me too. And I know what you're thinking. There's so many true crime pods out there, you've already heard all the stories. Well, what if I were to tell you you're wrong? I'm Leroy Luna, the host of Excuse Me, That's Illegal, the podcast that takes a hardcore look at softcore crime. I've got a back catalog of hundreds of bizarre and hilarious stories just waiting to be heard by you. So come join me. Excuse Me, That's Illegal is available anywhere you get your favorite podcasts, with new episodes dropping on the 10th, 20th, and 30th every month, baby!
Wow.
She's so cute in the jacket, though.
So there's a lot of that going out throughout all 8 seasons of the two of them being on the show together. However, Mika and I have completely rewritten the show to be gay. Like, we actually spent a lot of time on this because they are talking about a reboot. They're talking about a reboot.
Are they really?
Yes.
I mean, of course they
Past
are.
Life.
They're rebooting everything.
Right.
Yeah, they're rebooting Alf.
No, thank you. No to that. No, Alf. So this, are you ready for Mika's and my
Yes. Oh my god. I have never been more ready for anything in my life.
So the first episode can pretty much literally be the exact same way that it was on the show. And what happens is that Joe comes, they roommate together, but then Joe's like, where are the guys in this town? And then they go to the local date rape bar. They sneak in with fake IDs. They're flirting with this guy kind of, but he's creepy. And then they get busted and they go to jail, and then they're all on probation. Like, that's the first episode. Then the second episode, they have to all stay in one room together, all 4 of them. Right.
Down the hall from Mrs. Garrett, so she can keep an eye on them. Down the hall from Mrs. Garrett.
So that's like the setup for the first season. Then Joe starts talking about this boyfriend, Eddie, and how, it's the real thing, and her mother doesn't want them to be together because they think they're too young. Now, in our reboot, Eddie would actually be a girl.
Yes, Edie. She can be Edie from Imagine Me and You.
There we go.
See, that works.
I love it.
Eddie is actually Edie, but Joe keeps referring to her as Eddie because she's staying in the closet. And then later on, maybe 4 episodes from there, there is... Oh, Mika, describe that episode when she calls her mom.
Oh, okay. So there's an episode where Joe calls her mother to ask if she's coming up for a thing that's going on at the school. And instead of getting Joe's mom, she gets some guy named Jack.
Ooh.
And, Ma, who's this? And her mother, and you don't hear her mother's voice, you just get Joe's side of the story. But she starts getting really mad at her mom because, as it turns out, her mother is now hooking up with some new guy. And Joe thinks, you ditched me. You sent me all the way up here, claimed you're working double shifts, but really, you just wanted me out of the house so you could get your guy on. And you have the nerve to yell at me about Eddie. And she hangs up the phone in a...
Whoa!
I know.
I love it.
And she hangs up the phone in a huff. And Mrs. Garrett, of course, is trying to be the voice of reason of, Joe, honey, call your mom back and apologize for being a bitch. And, of course, it's Mrs. Garrett, so apologize for being rude. And Joe says, can I have some privacy to do this? And Mrs. Garrett, of course, says, come on, Tootie, stop eavesdropping on everyone. Because Tootie eavesdrops on everyone all the time.
Tootie, roll your way on out.
Yeah. No, she was on shoes at this point. She's only on
roller
skates.
skates are gone after season 1.
Yeah, season 1 she was too short.
So
but
what happens?
It's the reboot. I want to bring them back.
Okay, word.
Sure,
we'll do that.
Oh, they have to be
show,
Heelys.
Right, Mika? We're
they
writing
can bring
this,
back
so we can do
Heelys
this.
with a glow up like Arizona wore.
On the actual episode, Eddie, the boyfriend, surprises Joe by showing up, right, Mika?
Yeah, because he's like, you had such a bad time. I thought I'd take leave because he's in the naval recruitment base in Chicago. Yeah, so he goes to New York from Chicago.
On our reboot, Edie would show up. She would show up on the show.
She could still be in the Navy too.
And then that
Girls
could be a thing. That could be a thing, and that could be a thing that breaks them up later to make room for Joe and Blair. Anyway,
So Joe and Blair's endgame.
Oh yes, their endgame.
Okay,
absolutely. So Edie
Excellent.
shows up, and Joe's like, "What do you do here? They don't know about you." And then you have a whole episode of them being together and trying to hide, but then Blair sees them. And Blair knows. So then we have a couple episodes of Blair.
Does she see them or does she walk in on them because they're rooming together?
No, see them from afar. So Joe doesn't know that she saw them.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So it's a secret.
Yes,
oh my
a
God,
secret.
I love this.
Because it's a sitcom, you've got to have that classic misunderstanding.
Right.
But now you've got, I know your secret, and you don't know that I know your secret.
Exactly. You don't know that I know. So then there's a couple episodes of Blair knowing, but Joe not knowing, and all that weirdness and all the comedy. And then finally, Blair will confess that, I know about that Eddie's not Eddie, but Eddie's Edie. Okay.
Oh my God. Can I just tell you, in my head, I'm picturing right now, Blair during the, she knows and Joe doesn't know that she knows. I'm totally picturing, all of these comments, okay, so in the pilot episode, the first episode of Pretty Little Liars, and they have the flashback to the barn, and it's oh my God, the new Beyonce video, I love it. And then you get that snarky little, maybe a little too much M. I'm picturing, those kind of comments from Blair just, over and over and over and over
then,
again.
And Joe shooting her looks back, what are you talking about?
What are you getting at? Yeah. Oh my God.
Okay, so.
Oh my God, I love it.
And of course you can throw in Tootie now, who's the school snoop, getting things wrong, like assuming that the secret is that Joe's pregnant.
Oh.
See?
Yes.
And,
okay.
And of course, Blair, that could not be further from the truth.
Oh my God.
Right. Okay, so then the next thing that happens is that Blair has a Petra-style sex dream about her. Like Petra and JR from Jane the Virgin.
Yes. Oh my God.
Because,
so
Blair's ew, I'm not gay. Because Blair actually had a really homophobic episode. She was super homophobic in the very first episode of the whole show.
Yeah, her one of her classmates was totally
tomboy.
into sports and hugged girls and said, "Oh, I love you so much," but in that absolutely kid platonic way. And Blair leaps to this theory that she's a lesbian, and I'm like, homophobic gay panic much, Blair?
A little repressed, yeah, right.
I posted a video of that on our Twitter if you want to check it out. But so now Blair has this conflict, this identity crisis, and she's totally into Joe, and she's trying to deny it. And then for the whole rest of that season, we have slow burn. The two of them. Well, Edie and her and Joe have to break up for whatever reason.
Edie's actually going to be in the military and not just whatever, and Joe doesn't support this. I mean, it can be that simple.
You have to have a couple episodes of getting past that, and finally, the finale of season 1, the two of them hook up.
Yes! Oh my God, I love it. Please tell me that you've actually written this up. I want to read this. I want to read it. I want to watch it. I want to see it on my screen right now. I need it.
Our argument right now is whether or not they should hook up or just kiss. And I'm like, well, they're supposed to be 15 going on 16. So it could go either way.
I think just to make out.
Oh my God, wait, can they kiss but Tootie walks in on them?
Well, not
yet.
That's
not
what
yet,
I want. Because I think that it should be.
No, I think that's great because then you start out season 2 with them trying to work this all out. There's all these feelings that haven't really been resolved, but someone else knows too. Oh my God.
I think that the reveal to Natalie and Tootie should be the mid-season hiatus cliffhanger.
I think it should be the reveal
deal with it
to Natalie first, because Tootie was supposed to be like 3 years younger than everybody else. So you can be, we can't tell Tootie, she's too young. And of course, then you get the whole conversation of, what do you got a problem with telling a kid about gay people? Because,
So season 2 would be them trying to work it out, mid-season cliffhangers like Tootie and Natalie know, and then the final finale would be Mrs. Garrett knows and everybody knows. Parents, everybody.
I love it.
Accidentally
so
coming
much.
out in front of the whole school. Oops.
Something like
Accidentally?
this.
Well, it's accidentally, because Joe's got a lot of things that she keeps trying to hide from the school. Like, she doesn't want them to know that her parents are divorced at first. And then she doesn't want them to know that her dad's actually a criminal. And she says, oh, no, he lives in Miami as a trucker. And no, actually, he's in prison in upstate New York. Surprise. And so she's got all these secrets already that she's like hiding from everyone. So it makes perfect sense that she would not be wanting to be out, because she's already the scholarship kid, that she's got the Bronx accent, and everybody else is rich, and she doesn't want people to get all up in her business. And
the accent is so much, by the way.
The accent is over
extra.
the top.
It's pretty extra.
It really is.
Okay, so now we have seasons 3 through 7. I think should just be basic relationship up and down stuff. They have to break up at least once, right?
Right, and they have
together.
to break up at the end of, like, right near the end of season 3, when they realize they're going off to college, and oh my god, you were going to different colleges. How can we possibly keep dating?
And then you have to have the breakup, and one of them dates someone else, and then you'll have, like, that small community of shippers that's gonna, like, ship them together, and then everyone else will be like, no, it's totally Blair and Joe the whole way.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
Sorry.
That's a good idea.
And you could keep them, you could keep one or Blair being bisexual, and, she goes and dates a dude from Bates Academy. Yes, they called it Bates Academy for the boys. And
Oh, God.
Like the young masters at Bates Academy.
Oh my god.
Boy.
It's like too much. It's all too much.
And then season 7, finale cliffhanger, big proposal. But I think it should be a twist, and it should be Blair proposes to Joe.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure.
I love it.
And then the very, very last season of, the finale would be a big wedding.
Big gay wedding.
Yeah.
And everybody
wedding.
I would watch it. It's a hit series.
I am a little upset that I'm not watching it right now. Let's put it that way.
So whoever's doing this reboot, it has to be this way. If Joe is not queer in the reboot, I'm going to flip a table and burn something down, because that would not be right.
And we're available to be hired to help you with these scripts, because we know everything.
It's like bordering on scary impressive.
Or I don't know, or we have too much
time at all to come up with this.
That's true.
I'm sure.
We've only been
I'm
talking
sure.
about this for 3 days, though. It's kind of sad.
You both watched the show when it aired, like when it was on.
The first time, you mean?
Yeah, like you both watched Facts of Life, like when it was on TV.
I only started watching it from about the 3rd or 4th season in, but in my defense, I was like 5.
Right, sure.
But
okay.
I was 11 when the finale aired, and I remember crying when Joe got married and having no idea why. I was just so upset.
That is a very sad event.
Why were you crying?
I had similar feelings to Gabrielle's wedding in Xena. I mean, luckily it didn't last very long.
What, didn't Perdiccas die that night?
But yeah. Like R.I.P. Perdiccas, you had like a 3-hour married life. But still, I remember being very conflicted about that wedding. As was Xena, so it's fair.
I mean, that's a whole nother gay.
So for me, this show aired from the time I was 9 years old till the time I was 18. And I think I watched it the first time around, but I definitely watched it many times in reruns. Like it's definitely like a go-to rerun show. So I've probably watched like the whole thing a million times. Not that first season.
Either way, I think the point is you guys have had a lot of time to think about how this show should have been done.
Right, yes.
It should have been done correctly. It wasn't.
There's a possibility I might have written fan fiction about it when I was in high school,
yes.
but I don't. I can't find it. I can't find it, so it doesn't exist.
No,
we'll find it. We'll find it, Miko. We're gonna look it up. We're gonna find it.
I'm sure there's volumes out there already written by many people.
Oh my god! Not as much as you'd think.
Really?
So I was looking up. I'm like, how popular is this ship? And so I went on fanfiction.net and AO3, and I'd like my hour back. But it's terrifying sometimes. But it's not as popular as it was because I think it was long enough ago. And also,
yeah,
it's pretty bad. I mean, there's
the show itself.
There's a lot of fat shaming jokes and slut shaming jokes, and I mean, there are certain
a lot of
bits that are just-
misogynistic jokes.
Also, a lot of stuff, like, especially with Roy, it's, like, kind of, like, I'm gonna say, like, not rapey necessarily,
Right.
but, like, it's
Yep.
bordering on, like, that, you know, like, okay, hashtag me too, like, get in there, because this is getting, it's, like, a little over the line, like, how much they have to put up with from
Definitely.
the boys in the show.
In the reboot, we would probably keep some of that to make it accurate, but we make them fight back and not just be, like, giggly, like, ah, oh,
Right.
you know, like, it's almost flattering or something. Like, we would make them
More
fight
black
back.
eyes.
Yeah, more black eyes, yes.
Yes.
Do we keep...
Excellent.
The real question is, do we keep in the whole shtick with they have the very special episodes? Because in season 1, you've got a girl who commits suicide because her parents are getting divorced, which...
Oof.
I mean, and Tootie finds the body.
Oh my gosh, I don't remember that. Did I block that out or is it my memory?
You probably blocked that out, but it's like the girl who wins school president, and Blair is the vice president, and Blair's all upset because I didn't want to be vice president. And then all of a sudden, you know, the girl shows up and she's giving away her things, and I'm like, oh no. And then she takes a whole bottle of pills and eventually dies.
Wow.
Yeah. And then in the third season...
That's dark, yo.
Well, it gets... I mean,
Yeah.
it stays dark because in the third season, Natalie gets assaulted. She doesn't get raped, thankfully, but, like, the guy throws her down and rips her Charlie Chaplin costume.
I remember that one.
Right. And my wife and I both remembered it as we thought Natalie was raped, but in the rewatch, no, they made it quite clear that she wasn't. But still, they go to those places in this. Like, they address teen marriage, they address date rape, they address, you know, assault, they address all of these things. Bulimia is in there too, if I remember right. And
It's very, like, Seventh Heaven, too, did the same thing, right? Like, you get those, like, very specific, like, this episode, we're dealing with this.
But the thing
I think if it can be done well like they do on One Day at a Time, where they have comedy, but they execute those deep topics really well in a way that doesn't feel like a cheesy, very special episode.
It didn't feel like a cheesy special episode. I will give them this much. And that's probably why I have major issues with modern sitcoms, is that they go like Seventh Heaven, which I swear is a sitcom. Yes, I've watched it.
Oh, I did too. Don't worry. That was on when I was in, like, middle school, high school. I watched, like, seasons after seasons of that show.
It was fun to watch at like 1 a.m. when I couldn't sleep.
Yeah.
They managed to do it without having it be too cheesy. I mean, it didn't feel like they were just folding it in to make a very special episode. If you ever watch Different Strokes, there's a special episode where there's acid rain, and Dana Plato's character, her hair turns green from acid rain. Because, you know, I remember this one so well. And that felt like a really shoehorned in, very special episode about, you know, we need to take care of the environment. But these...
I don't know, Mika. When they pay us to write this show, this reboot, we either got to keep it really corny AF or do it really, really well, like One Day at a Time does it.
I want to say do it really, really well at One Day at a Time. We should hire Gloria Calderon-Kellett to help us figure out that balance and get Norman Lear in on this.
Okay.
And then, of course, if we get Gloria in on this, then we're definitely going to have a Latinx character and just go all the way.
Oh yeah,
I love it.
Intersectional.
Guys, I'm so in for this reboot.
Yeah,
I, like,
Joe could definitely be Latinx.
Well, because that would be the new thing, like finding out her father's not in jail. He's actually an illegal immigrant, and he's being deported
or being caught by ICE.
Yeah, he gets caught by ICE,
Yeah,
and there's your horrific storyline. And now what's going to happen to her?
We need to take a moment to talk about Jerry, cousin Jerry.
Cousin Jerry, yes.
So
speaking of very special episodes,
Blair's cousin, right?
Yes, Blair's cousin Jerry.
Tell us about cousin Jerry.
Cousin Jerry is Blair's cousin, who's a stand-up comedian, also has cerebral palsy in real life.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And in real life, she wrote a memoir and came out. She's a lesbian.
Yeah, she said, I can't even walk straight, and it's just this awesome double pun.
God.
I love it so much.
Oh my god. That is the best thing ever.
Yeah, so Cousin Jerry on the reboot could just be lesbian.
Yes,
and then you've got, Cousin Jerry going, Cousin Blair.
She can come help Blair when Blair's conflicted about her feelings for Joe.
Yes.
Like, Cousin Jerry can come
be the
help
one she
her work through
tells.
it.
Yes, that's how we can introduce Cousin Jerry to the show.
I love it so much, you guys.
Done.
I have a really important question, though.
All right.
Okay. What is Blair and Joe's ship name?
Wow, I don't know. Do they have one?
They didn't.
Because, like, Blow is not going to cut it.
Blow.
Jer. Blow or
So
Jer.
it was like when you guys were taking 10 minutes trying to figure out the Gilmore Girls ship name.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
I
What are their
still
last
don't even
names?
remember which
Joe-
one we settled on.
Polnicek and Warner.
And Blair Warner.
Wait, sorry. Joe is what?
Polnicek.
Polnicek.
You get Poner, and that didn't work either.
Blair Warner.
No.
Warnicek. See, the thing about it is that in the 70s and
Yeah, I got
80s,
nothing.
we
Yeah,
didn't name
it's a hard one.
characters to generate portmanteaus. We didn't.
I know, but it's so good. I love
Yeah.
doing it.
I mean,
I have nothing for them.
I mean,
though,
I'd probably
so
just
I'm
say-
sticking with Blow.
I'd probably call them the Eastland Girls, and that would be the ship, because they go to Eastland. Or the Poughkeepsie Pals. Oh, excuse me, the Peekskill Pals.
Peekskill Pals. I like
I think you gotta ask Twitter.
Skill pass.
Yeah, we
Twitter
definitely
about
have to ask Twitter about that. But
Okay,
yeah.
Twitter, if you have a better suggestion, Blow, let us know.
anything's better than Blow.
True.
Oh, God, we've come up with some pretty terrible ship names, so it's fine. I'm going to say this is still not the worst one we've done.
Yes. Do you guys have anything else to say about more facts of life should have been gay?
Oh, I was going to say, I think that Natalie should be like, because in real life, Mindy Cohn, who played Natalie, is a total LGBT supporter. I always wanted her to
Yes.
be like the champion for Joe and Blair, and just like, I'll take on anyone who thinks it's not okay. And she's in charge of the school paper, so she's constantly making sure that there are editorials about how LGBT is fine and wonderful.
Yes.
And just like, and Joe is just so embarrassed the whole time. And do we really have to do this?
Oh, my God.
And of course, you've got the whole fights, because Blair's rich and Joe's not. So Joe and Blair get into fights about Blair buying everything and always taking them out to dinner. And Joe's got a chip on her shoulder. And it's just, you have so much built into that relationship.
Right, I think the bottom line here is this is filled with dramatic and comedic gold. It is a gold mine of stories. And if the rebooters don't take advantage of this, then they're really missing out.
Well, and I think the main takeaway here is facts of life.
Should have been gay.
Should have been gay.
It was pretty gay to start with.
Should have been more explicitly gay.
Yes.
But if we switch back a little bit to Let's Watch TV.
Sure.
Yes.
Right? In the context of this whole conversation that we just had. Because you guys have you have a scoring system.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So tell us, can we get a brief overview of the scoring system for people who aren't familiar with it?
Oh, this one's on me, isn't it? The scoring system is a really annoyingly complicated mathematical formula that takes into account, we have 4 main vectors on the site, which is the show worth watching, which is just sort of our overall, is the show even worth your time? How real is the show? How much screen time do the queers get? And how good is the show for queers? And those are the easy things that you can count. You can say, well, you got a 1 out of 5 for these. But then we also add in things like, is this show created by queers and for queers? Is it created by queers for everyone? And we give the shows bonuses for things like that. Then we start factoring in, well, okay, how many tropes does the show have? Like, does it have good tropes, like coming out or everyone's queer? Or does it have bad tropes, like queer baiting and queer bashing and women in prison? And of course, if someone dies, you automatically lose a third of your show points, because that's
Right,
just
there's
that's not
the
okay.
character. I actually just gave a talk on this
You
at
did?
FlameCon this past last weekend. But another big factor is the character survival rate.
Yeah.
So if all of your characters are still alive, you get the highest number of points for that section, and if they're all dead, then the lowest, and everywhere in between. So it's like four different categories of criteria that can all get points, and then that all gets divided and equal to 100, so you have a score between 1 and 100.
0.
So
you can get a 0.
Can I say one thing? You know what are things that I love? One thing that I love is queer media, and another thing that I love is algorithms.
Oh my god. My father's a mathematician.
So this makes me so happy. I love it so much. The data nerd in me is just geeking out, and it's amazing.
We need to know, which maybe is hard for you to decide now. Give a ballpark. What score would you give Facts of Life?
Oh, it wouldn't be good.
Well, are we talking our version or are we talking the real
Number
version?
one, Facts
the
Life
real-
wouldn't
the
even
real
make
version.
it. It has to have a canon
Your
queer
version
character.
gets a 100.
Okay, so it wouldn't
It
even
is
be on your
top.
list.
No, it's not even on the list.
It has to have a canon queer character in it to be able to make it into our website in the first place. But let's say Joe was queer and it was in our site. The first episode of the entire show was really homophobic.
Yeah.
So that would go.
But it's really real too.
Like, with your gut, what do you feel like it gets?
What do you think, Mika? You're a better judge of this.
Okay, because I did the math. Yeah, thanks. If Joe was queer, I think that the show would probably hit somewhere around the 40-point range, which is slightly above average. You'd think that 50 would be average, but I think the average right now is like 36. There are a lot of shows with pretty bad scores.
No one died.
That's sad.
Right, nobody died, but there is arguably queer bashing because Joe does get picked on a lot. And, there's the date rape attempts. And it's very real, but at the same time, it's not really great for queers. Unless we're saying like Joe marries a woman at the end.
Right, like quality, like we have like a quality score list. So how does the show do in making you feel good about yourself at the end of the day, right? So like, are the queer characters treated with respect? Are they, as three-dimensional as the straight characters? And do you feel good about yourself after you're done watching the show? So I don't know. I don't think Facts of Life would do that great.
That's why I think it would end up being slightly above average.
Slightly above. Okay. And if people want to look up the actual show's ratings, they can always do that.
You can look up actual shows ratings. Just go to the site.
Just not this one.
Just not this one.
LezWatch.tv.
Unless there's an actual queer character on the show that we've somehow missed, and I am now rewatching season 3, so I'll find out soon enough. The show just won't end up on the site, and it's sad because it really is one of my favorite shows.
But the reboot.
Fingers crossed for the reboot.
That reboot will hit 50 points.
If that reboot doesn't hit 70 points, I'm going to be upset.
There you go. I think it's time for our final segment, which is Q and Gay. If you've listened to the show, Q and Gay, we have some questions. We're going to ask you guys some questions, and our listeners will get to answer them on Twitter later. Ellie, take it away. Q and Gay.
Q and Gay.
And you can both answer individually. So,
all right.
Your favorite queer tropes. This is based on the list on your website. All right.
If it's based on the list, oh no.
It's multiple choice.
Okay.
A, queers in law enforcement. B, everyone's gay. C, coming out. Or D, happy ending.
Oh, my favorite is women in queers in law enforcement.
Yes. Which Joe falls into.
Yes, well, only if you count the TV movies, but sure.
I'd have to say mine is, I'm going to go, easy and happy ending. I like a good happy ending.
It's a classic. Who doesn't?
Yeah.
What a great trope. Let's have more of that trope, please.
And we have so few of them.
I know, exactly. Okay, on the other side, question 2. What is your least favorite queer trope out of A, barrier queers, B, women in prison, C, fake relationship, or D, queer baiting?
Ooh. Mine's actually women in prison.
Ooh. So Orange is the New
you
Black,
love
not a fan.
Women
I've
in
never
law
watched
enforcement,
one.
but not women in prison.
Yes. No, I can't.
Mika's very justice system oriented in terms of her scaling.
No, I can't watch shows I don't think that prison is entertainment.
Yeah.
And I have a real hard time watching it. And I blame my parents for ruining that on me because of Hogan's Heroes. And that's its own whole thing.
I mean, or you can also blame the shit show that is the American justice system. That's fine.
Let's blame that.
That too.
Yes.
I do all those. I do all the shows that like American Horror Story and Orange is the New Black and the things that Mika won't watch.
American Horror Story is scary.
Okay, but wait, Tracy, we didn't get your answer. What's your least favorite?
Gosh. I mean, barrier queers is the easy answer, but I really hate queer baiting. It makes
I
me so
knew that
mad.
was going to be your answer.
I hate it.
Yeah. I think that would be mine too.
Yeah.
Because queer baiting is just like eternally harmful.
Yeah. It's so frustrating. Yeah, there are so many shows that I just stopped watching. I was like, I can't keep doing this to myself.
You hear this Facts of Life reboot? No queer baiting.
No queer baiting.
Okay.
Near queer baiting.
Excellent.
And which is why, like, when we were going through this the first time, Mika's like, well, let's not have them kiss at the end of season 1. I'm like, yes, let's have them kiss. That'd be queer baiting if we don't get a second season.
Which I agree, yes.
Anyway, the thing about queer baiting that really makes me mad is that I feel we as a people, we have been given so little that we get addicted to these shows that are just queer baiting us, but not giving us anything. And that hurts our self-esteem collectively. It makes us think that we don't deserve anything real. So that one really makes me mad. So that's my choice.
Agreed.
Excellent.
All right. Question number 3. Would Joe wear a suit at Joe and Blair's wedding? Yes or no?
Take this away, Tracy. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yes.
Now, okay, I'm going to ask a follow-up question that's not even in our Q&A list, but would that suit be denim?
There has to be denim.
Not for the wedding, but her something blue would definitely be denim.
Yes. Oh my god. Can she have like a denim pocket square?
Yes.
Yes. I love it. I love it so much.
And of course, Blair bought the whole outfit for her as a surprise of not only am I proposing, but we're getting married right now, and here's your suit.
Oh my god, amazing.
Oh my god. Oh my god, and can you have it be a thing where like Joe's mom like forced her to like agree to wear a dress, and then Blair like surprises her day of with the suit? Oh my god.
Yes.
Oh my god, you guys. I'm so excited for this reboot.
I just got chills from this fake wedding.
Oh, I love it. Okay,
Let's start our crowdfunding now.
Question 4, and this might be tough, but Blair, Joe, Tootie, or Natalie? That's it. That's the question.
That's the question?
That's the question. You can interpret it however you want. Who's your favorite? Who's the gayest? Just if you had to pick one, who
My
do you pick?
answers are also obvious. I have to pick Joe. Like I'm saying nothing clever here. Like Joe, absolutely. I just, as a kid, I loved her. She was so cool and tough, and
I'm so conflicted.
I didn't come out till I was 18, so it was that kind of, why do I like her?
Yeah.
Why do I think she's so cool?
She makes
Joe.
sense in hindsight. Yeah.
Yep.
This is not fair.
Natalie's the funniest, though.
Well, see, I identify the most with Natalie, but I had a huge crush on Blair and Joe as a unit.
Okay.
So I'm going to say Natalie.
That's fair.
All right.
Natalie would be my second.
Poor Tootie. She's my second, though.
Tootie.
Okay.
Okay, our final question. Which is better, classic Joe hair or post down under Farrah Fawcett mullet?
Oh.
I'm sorry, the mullet was so much. It was so
much. But I mean, that's realness, right?
Oh, that is
80s
so
lesbian
realness.
mullet hair. But, everybody had a mullet in the 80s, too. Y'all have to remember that. Not just the lesbians. But, no, definitely original Joe.
I'm going with Tracy on this one, original Joe hair.
There you go. We have consensus for once.
There we
Wrapping up our Q&A on the same page. Remember, you can also give us your answers to this week's Q&A questions on our Twitter at Let's Hang Out Pod.
Thank you, Mika and Tracy, so much for coming on. This is
Yes.
amazing. I think I have little tears just dripping down my face.
For being on, but for being on and for bringing this blast from the past, because there's no way that Ellie and I could have covered this just with the two of us.
Well, if you heard him from your brother, you better clear him with your mother then and get him right. Call her late at night.
Well, thank you so much for having us. I mean, this is a should have been gay, like hardcore should have been gay. So I'm glad that we were able to bring the perspective of the show to your show.
A little education for us. We loved it.
It was amazing.
If people want to find you guys, where's the best place to find you?
LezWatch.tv is our website, and all of our social things, Instagram, Twitter, etc., is at LezWatchTV.
Excellent.
Perfect. And any other projects coming out besides writing this reboot?
Tracy is forcing me to make sure that the mathematical computations are accurate for characters in our show scores. So I'm playing with numbers.
Cool.
There you go.
Right. And
check it out.
My current project with LezWatchTV is getting all the actors right. And we have like over 2,000 of them. And I just passed 1,000. So
that's just insane.
Yeah.
That's insane.
And then after that, we have an Alexa skill.
We do.
So you can actually ask Alexa all about shows, all about actors, and I want to work on making that better.
Wow,
super cool.
Awesome. I didn't know that.
2 winters ago, I decided I'd take on that challenge of, can I write an Amazon Alexa skill and say, hey Alexa, is Ali Liebert gay? And Alexa will say, yes.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, that's crazy.
I just want you to know that, like, if anything was going to convince me to get one of those things in my house, that's what it would be. It's like the ability to just, like, in thin air be like, is so-and-so gay? That's what I need.
Sadly, with the Alexa skills, it's weird because you have to say, hey, Alexa, ask LezWatchTV, is Allie Liebert queer? And then she'll answer. Because it's not as smart as all that.
That's fine.
Still pretty cool.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
We'll get there.
So there you go. LezWatchTV. Thank you so much again, you guys. This
was amazing.
This was amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We had a great time.
Let me hear you say hip, 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 we're gay.
We love hearing from you and building our community, so we wanted to shout out some of our favorite things each episode.
And this week, what we wanted to shout out specifically is, I think, what is going to be forever and always our favorite review of the podcast that we're ever going to get. This is someone on Twitter shouting out to @FranziaBoy, who reviewed the podcast thusly. @LezHangoutPod is a very good lesbian podcast and definitely my favorite podcast. Here's some reasons I like it. Voice is not annoying. Lesbian.
That's it.
Done.
Drop the
Crushed it.
mic.
We should quit while we're ahead, I think.
Yeah,
is
honestly.
the answer.
Voice is not annoying, lesbian. That's the only criteria that we needed to make.
Yes.
Who knew?
So there you go. We're happy. We're done. I think we've reached our goal.
We've reached our peak. That's it. Our voices aren't annoying and we're lesbians.
Peace, you guys.
Yeah. Gonna add that to a
So,
business card.
Thank you for that. It absolutely made like our year, I think.
I was
is what
crying,
happened.
laughing. So funny. Thank you.
We also, as always, we want to shout out our top tier patrons, our Lesbian Jesus patrons. It is so important to help us continue to be able to do this. The support that we get from all of our patrons, but especially these people. So huge thank you to Amy and Ellen,
Kayla Kelly,
Lizette Stye,
Tanya Ferguson,
Jess Klaus,
and Danny Griswold.
Thank you guys. Remember, you can also find us on all social medias. We are at LezHangoutPod on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
Or you can email us at lezhangoutpod@gmail.com with all of your possible should have been gays.
You can check us out on our website at lezhangoutpod.com.
And make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/lezhangoutpod.
If you want to help support the podcast, there's a couple ways that you can do that. One of them, you can become a patron on our Patreon page. You can find that at bit.ly/lezpatreon. You can get access to our exclusive Facebook group. You can get bloopers. You can get all sorts of good stuff. It's a ton of fun.
And if you want some queer merch, hip hip I'm gay mug or the like, you can find that at bit.ly/lezshop.
If you want to follow us individually, the best place to find me is on Twitter and Instagram at LSHFoster.
And the best place to find me is at Ellie Brigida on Instagram and Twitter. And with that, I'm Ellie.
And I'm Lee. And let's hang out again soon.
Let's hang out.
Ladies and gentlemen.
What are you doing?
What do you mean?
Just keep it simple.
I'm making the promo.
Just keep it simple. Just say, hey, we're the Brav Bros. Two guys that talk about Bravo.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're the Brav Bros.
No.
Oh.
Dude, stop with the voice. Just keep it simple.
I've seen promos on TV, dude. This is how you get the fans engaged. This is how you get listeners. We're trying to get listeners here. If we just say, oh, we're two dudes that talk about Bravo, people are going to get tired of it already. We need some oomph.
All right, then fine. Let's try to do it with your voice.
Brav Bros.
Good job.